Hello and welcome to Web Relates. Today we're looking at the Malicious Compliance subreddit. Our first story is by Blunt, but not on purpose. Want all the documents? No problem. Many years ago, I did all kinds of admin work at an oil terminal. One of my jobs was to take care of the documents after vessels had been loaded. Bills of lading would usually have to be couriered to a bank, so I'd take care of that as well. Now, I said bills of lading had to be couriered to a bank, but that's not entirely true. Every time a vessel would come to load, we'd receive a document distribution matrix. Originals of document X to be sent to A, copies sent to B, C, and D. Originals of document Y to be sent to B. Well, you get the gist. I would usually completely ignore that matrix. I knew exactly who needed what, and I knew that the bank only cared about the bills of lading, so I'd just send them those and that was never a problem. That is, until someone new started at said bank and would complain about missing documents. Next time I added some more documents that I reckoned might be vaguely relevant, but again, they complained about missing documents. I'm still not sure why that was, only the bills of lading was relevant to them. But the next time a vessel had loaded, I was very happy to give them exactly what they wanted. The document distribution matrix was probably once drafted by someone who didn't know what they were doing, then ignored by everyone, so it never became a problem. In this case, however, I was going to need a bigger envelope. I followed the matrix to the letter. 1 original plus 4 copies, you got it. I was really happy because I'd spotted the fatal flaw. Some background first. For every chemical product, there is a Material Safety Data Sheet, MSDS. They contain all sorts of information regarding safety of the product, and over time, they've become monstrosities. So here's what made me so happy. The matrix also mentioned 1 original and 4 copies of the MSDS, which was a 250-plus page document. There is absolutely no reason why the bank would need even 1 copy of the MSDS, but it was in the matrix, and I'd been told to follow the matrix. So I did. I printed it 5 times, copied all other documents 4 times, and ended up with a stack of over 1,500 pages. Here's where my sadism kicked in. The 3 original bills of lading, the only documents I knew the bank actually needed, went randomly into that stack. The person on the other side would have to go through that entire stack to find those 3 pieces of paper they really needed. I heard nothing from them. The next time I had to send documents to the bank again, I reverted to what I'd always sent to them. Again, silence. That's when I knew I'd won. From then on, all was back to normal. Reminds me a little bit of an ad I saw a very long time ago. No idea what it was an ad for, but it's a university exam, everyone's sitting down, the professor's at the front at a desk, and he says, "Time's up everyone, come hand in your papers." Everyone stands up, they get up, they put their papers in a pile on his desk, and one guy sits there and keeps writing. Eventually he finishes, he gets up, and he comes to hand it in, and the prof puts his hand on top of the pile and goes, "Nope, you're too late." The student starts yelling, "Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am?" The professor's like, "No, I don't." And the student goes, "Good," and lifts up the pile halfway and slips his paper into the middle of it somewhere. Also, I learnt a new word, lading, the action of loading a ship with cargo. Our next story is by OKP. You are not to take the company phone and hardware wherever you go. Sure, okay. End up spending $6,000 to get those to me in an emergency. Previous job, worked in a company that was regulated by multiple powerful government agencies. When they asked for something, they want it pronto, and if the delay was too long, they'd rather have us shut down business rather than wait for data, information, or prototypes. I was given a company phone that I had to take everywhere with me, rotating on-call periods, but I'm expected to be available if crap hits the fan. The phone was a special kind of a phone from a fruit company, based in California. It wasn't a US-based model. It had 2 different networks and with some extra tech in it, could jump on whichever was stronger, and maybe even use both at the same time. I'm not sure, but it was good. Needless to say, it should have been pretty expensive. Now, I love nature. I can and have gone camping, oftentimes in remote places, and gone a few days without seeing another human. 18 months into the job, there was a new schedule where I got 3 days of being on call and expected to work a regular 8-hour day, having to live within 20 minutes of work and then 4 days of being off. This worked pretty amazing for me. As soon as the next on-call team doing and maintaining the same work from our department got on, I'd be off, on a plane to get another national park under my belt, or some remote state parks, or whatever I had my sights on. I thought it would be helpful to carry the company phone I was given along with me, in case I was needed. In the year and a half I was never contacted when not being on call, as we had a strong culture of communications and the teams knew what they had to know in order to troubleshoot. But nevertheless, I took the company phone along with me. During the trip, the screen got damaged. Not so much that the phone was inoperable, but definitely difficult to use. Got back, went through the forms, and got IT to repair or give me another one. Some manager higher up in IT went off, and was going on and on and on about how expensive those devices were, how difficult it was to configure them, and how much harder it was to get them in the US and all that other BS. Then she told me, I am not to take the company phone and hardware along with me wherever I go. It is supposed to go between my residence and the office and nowhere else. And she was pretty derogatory about it, even throwing a few large chunks of racism in between. I shot off an email later, keeping my manager in the loop and the department head, about confirming what she said. Cue my malicious compliance. A few weeks later, I took my PTO. PTO policy was pretty good, and thus I took it for 3 weeks, and still had over 3 weeks remaining. I did not take any of the company hardware along with me, as per what was stated by some manager who was somewhere in the org chart in IT, and decently high up. All hands on deck situation arose. My manager was pissed at me not being able to answer the company phone. Wasn't like I was in the woods, at my very dear cousin who just had twins and a very difficult delivery. I took care of my cousin while her husband looked after the kids. Manager had to get me on my own phone, and she had to go through some of my work friends for my personal phone, since I was pretty good at not giving up my personal contact info to people at work. Manager said, "Why aren't you answering the company phone?" I said, "I'm not at home. Don't have my company phone with me." "Never mind. Get back online immediately. We have an all-hands-on-deck situation." "Sorry, I do not have any of the company hardware with me." Manager, being mouthy, "Why? A whole bunch of expletives?" I said, "This manager in IT said I wasn't to take company hardware along with me wherever I go." "What? When did that happen?" I sent an email stating what she said and kept you and X, our department head, in CC. Manager goes through her email, finds it, and a bunch of more expletives. "You need to come back immediately." "Sorry, no can do. My cousin's still pretty much half dead with a very difficult twin pregnancy. I'm taking care of her, and was pretty clear about it before going on PTO. I wouldn't be able to come back." Manager cuts off the call, calls me back in 30. "Do you have anyone who has keys to your apartment?" "Yes." "Give me their contact. I'm going to get the computer and a screen, and UVW, other hardware, shipped to you before night and you can get back. We have a serious situation." "Can I get more PTO then to compensate for this intrusion?" Me, knowing I have a slightly upper hand and striking when the metal's hot. "Sure, they'll send an email approving this." By 8 p.m, I get my company phone, computer and other hardware shipped to me. I also get 2 emails. One email approving the extended PTO for this intrusion. Second email from my department head, X, stating that the original company policy is still in effect. In fact, a new policy has been put in place for some employees to have their company hardware with them, even on PTO. Anything else said by anyone else was to be disregarded, and cherry on top, that IT manager was in the CC. When I returned from my PTO, that IT manager was nowhere to be seen. Turns out, she had been demoted. She couldn't digest that, and quit. The company had to spend over $6,000 to ship it on the same day, and get the hardware to me. Okay everyone, that's it for today. Thank you very, very much for watching. And if you enjoyed, please like, comment, subscribe. And then I will see you guys in the next video. Cheers!